Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Ridge tells Taylor a shocking truth that makes the wedding plans fall through. Taylor was heartbroken. The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal that what began as a seemingly idyllic fantasy wedding week in Monaco turned into a swirling storm of secrets, heartbreak, and exposed truths that left lives permanently changed, vows shattered, and a woman's aspirations wrecked in a moment. Ridge Forrester, who had long been seen as a steady father figure torn between two great loves, finally reached a breaking point. His guilt, conscience, and deep desire for clarity made him confront Taylor Hayes with a shocking confession that blew up their wedding plans like a bomb. The story took place over several days that were very hard on Taylor's emotions. Every minute felt like it lasted forever as she held on to the idea that Ridge's heart was completely hers and that their long and rocky road had finally led them to a point of mutual commitment. But the truth, as it always does on the bold and the beautiful, had been brewing underneath, and when it finally came out, it wasn't just about Brooke Logan, even though her shadow hung over every step of this doomed marriage. It was about loyalty, betrayal, and Ridge's inability to change the past without first taking responsibility for it. Taylor had come back to Los Angeles full of hope. She thought Ridge was finally ready to start over after his marriage to Brooke fell apart because of miscommunication, intrusive family members, and unresolved triangles. Steffi Forrester and Thomas Forrester pushed their parents to get back together with a passion that was almost obsessive. They thought that Brooke's tumultuous past made her unworthy of Ridge's stability. Ridge's hands shook not with excitement, but with the weight of the secret that was eating away at him. Just a few days earlier, while on a private business trip to Italy with Brooke, something happened that reignited the flames of their complicated, decades-long love. Ridge saved Brooke from a boating disaster that almost killed her when the yacht they were on with Eric, Donna, and several European investors unexpectedly overturned in choppy conditions. In that adrenaline-fueled moment, as he dragged her from the depths and gave her breath on the deck, their eyes locked and something shifted. Brooke, soaked and quivering, muttered that she never stopped loving him, and Ridge, against his better judgment and the vow he had made to Taylor, kissed her back. This wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was the start of something Ridge thought he had buried. In the days that followed, while Brooke recuperated with a sprained wrist and minor concussion, they enjoyed late-night chats under the Italian sky, reflecting on their mistakes, their children, and the years they had lost to pride. Brooke, in an unexpected moment of humility, informed Ridge she would not stand in the way of his happiness with Taylor, but urged him to at least be honest with himself. Ridge, torn between nostalgia and the promise he made to Taylor, boarded the plane back to Monaco in silence, his emotions in two worlds. As the wedding week unfolded, Taylor observed the anxiety in Ridge's smile, the way his phone lit up with Brooke's messages wondering if he was all right, the uncertainty in his vows draft. Steffi chalked it up to pre-wedding nerves, while Thomas told his mother that Ridge was simply overcome by pleasure. But the night before the wedding, Ridge stood by the balcony overlooking the sea, clutching his glass of scotch, tormented by Brooke's voice screaming, "Tell her the truth, or you'll lose yourself again." Eric, sensing his son's turmoil, pushed him to follow his heart, not his children's expectations. "A marriage built on a lie, no matter how noble, will collapse, Ridge," the patriarch cautioned. On the morning of the wedding, with Taylor resplendent in a custom Forrester gown designed by Zend and Hope's crew, the guests gathered: Steffi, Finn, Thomas, Douglas, Eric, Donna, Carter, Katie, Bill, and even a hesitant Brooke, who attended out of respect for Ridge's plea to keep peace. The ceremony began flawlessly. The music swelled, the Mediterranean wind carried the perfume of flowers, and Taylor's eyes brimmed with tears as she approached Ridge. But when Carter asked whether anyone had reason these two should not be wed, Ridge froze. His stillness lasted too long. Murmurs rippled across the throng. Taylor grabbed his hand, whispering, "It's okay, Ridge. Just breathe." And then, in a moment that will go down in bold and the beautiful history, Ridge stood back and declared, "I can't do this, not like this. Taylor, there's something you need to know." Gasps erupted. Steffi's eyes flashed wide with wrath. Thomas clenched his jaw. Brooke looked down, already knowing what was coming. Ridge admitted before everyone that while in Italy he enjoyed a personal encounter with Brooke that went beyond conventional friendship. He told Taylor he didn't sleep with her, but he understood that a part of him still loved her, and it would be improper to take vows with Taylor while his heart was torn. "You deserve all of me, Taylor," he said, voice shaking. "And I can't give you that, not when I'm still untangling what I feel for Brooke." Taylor's face grew pale, then red, then broke into silent tears that progressed to shaking sobs. After everything I forgave, after believing you, this time was real," she cried, her voice echoing off the marble. Steffi screamed out at Ridge, accusing him of humiliating their mother again, labeling Brooke a deceitful homewrecker, while Brooke begged Steffi to stop, stating she never intended this misery for Taylor. Thomas walked out, enraged, mumbling about betrayal. Eric tried to quell the commotion, but the ceremony was already in ruins. Guests left in hushed groups. Reporters outside captured the fallout, and Taylor secluded herself in the bridal suite, refusing to see anybody. Over the next several days, the repercussions overwhelmed Los Angeles. Taylor considered leaving town again, questioning her judgment and condemning herself for trusting Ridge's assurances. She confided in Finn, who pushed her to focus on healing, not revenge. Steffi, meanwhile, tried to keep Ridge away from both ladies, and raged at his indecisiveness. Brooke, torn between remorse and the unmistakable connection sparked in Italy, reached out to Ridge softly, saying she'd back whatever route he chose, even if it wasn't her. But Ridge, now living alone at Eric's guest house, slipped into a contemplative spiral, drinking late into the night, staring at old family photos, wondering why after all these years he still couldn't stop loving two women at once. As weeks passed, Taylor made a radical decision. She would not wait for Ridge, nor would she allow this betrayal define her again. She declared at Forrester Creations that she was taking a humanitarian post in Africa, focusing on her medical work and leaving the pandemonium behind. Her leaving sequence was heart-wrenching. A sobbing goodbye to Hayes, a firm but heartfelt hug with Steffi, and a chilly, distant farewell to Ridge. "You didn't just cancel a wedding, Ridge," she added. "You canceled the woman I was becoming with you." The cancellation struck shockwaves across the fashion firm and the Forrester family. Shareholders, scared about poor press. Hope, surprise, became a voice of reason, informing her father that love cannot be forced, and sometimes the truth sets you free even when it kills the dream. Brooke remained a divisive figure. Was she a homewrecker again, or simply the truth Ridge couldn't outrun? Bill Spencer grabbed the confusion to mock Ridge about his dilemma, while Katie begged him not to gloat at Taylor's misery. By the season's finale, Ridge began a soul-searching quest, seeking a therapist to explore his lifelong triangular pattern. Taylor, in Africa, sent postcards to her children, but made it apparent she was finding tranquility away from Los Angeles. Brooke focused on her profession, not chasing Ridge, leaving the door open but not the porch light on. And so, what was meant to be a fantasy wedding became a lesson. Love constructed on half-truths will always disintegrate, and sometimes the bravest act is to stop before vows become shackles. Ridge confesses shocking truth to Taylor. Part 2. The fallout deepens. The bold and the beautiful spoilers suggest that the ripple effect of Ridge's confession didn't simply stop at a cancelled wedding. It blasted through families, friendships, business relationships, and even rivalries that had been dormant for years. Taylor's loss became the epicenter of a storm that exposed everyone's true loyalties. The morning after, Taylor disappears. Hours after locking herself away, Taylor vanished. Steffi woke up to find her mother gone, her bridal gown still draped over a chair, veil crumpled on the floor. A single note remained, "Don't look for me." I need to discover myself before I lose myself entirely. Panic spread. Had Taylor fled out of shame, heartbreak, or determination? Steffi accused Brooke quickly, accusing her of manipulating Ridge on their Italian trip. But Brooke swore she was not the villain this time. Steffi declares war. Steffi, fueled by rage and the protective instinct of a daughter who watched her mother humiliated once again, made a terrible vow. Ridge would not have either woman until he proved himself worthy. She rallied Thomas to her side, telling him they would ice Brooke out of Forrester Creations and push Ridge to rebuild his life alone. Thomas agreed, but his heart was heavy. He too had been burned by Ridge's uncertainty before. Brooke keeps her distance for now. In a twist of maturity, Brooke didn't chase Ridge this time. She sent him one letter, handwritten, not a text, saying she forgave him for being honest, but would not be a part of another triangle. If you come to me, Ridge, come whole, not out of loneliness or guilt. Her restraint only made Ridge more conflicted. Was Brooke truly letting him go, or was this her most powerful move yet? Ridge under fire. Back at Forrester Creations, the backlash reached the boardroom. Eric summoned an emergency meeting, concerned that the family's continuous scandals were harming their international reputation. Investors questioned if Ridge's leadership was stable. Carter, stuck between being Ridge's friend and the company's legal counsel, advocated damage control interviews. Ridge declined, stating, "This isn't about optics, it's about lives I broke." Taylor's journey, from heartbreak to healing. Weeks later, a message came from Taylor. She was in Kenya, working with an international medical aid team. Photos of her smiling with youngsters at rural clinics surfaced online. She looked tranquil, but her message to Steffi was bittersweet. "Tell your father I don't hate him. I really can't love a man who doesn't love himself enough to choose clearly." Taylor began a slow transformation. No revenge, no plotting, simply a woman rediscovering who she was before Ridge defined her. Yet, in the markets of Nairobi, a mysterious figure began to appear, a rugged, salt-and-pepper-haired man named Nick Marone. Yes, Brooke's old flame and Ridge's adversary, working in the same location on a shipping charity. Old embers ignited, not quite a romance, but a dangerous comfort. Steffi and Finn's marriage tested. Meanwhile, Steffi's fixation with controlling Ridge's next steps began to damage her marriage to Finn. Finn, ever the peacemaker, informed her, "Your parents' war is not our war." But Steffi pushed harder, even suggesting they move back to Monaco to keep Ridge out from Brooke's sphere. Finn told her that obsession had cost them happiness before, remembering Liam's sacrifices for her. Their discussions got heated, threatening to resurrect old wounds. Brooke and Bill, a dangerous reconnection. While Ridge spiraled, Bill Spencer seized the moment. He brought Brooke to supper under the premise of celebrating her freedom, reminding her of their past and how Ridge always harmed her. Brooke protested, but couldn't deny the comfort Bill brought. Katie, noting Bill's heightened concentration, advised him not to use Brooke's pain as a game. But Bill saw an opening. If Ridge can't man up, Brooke deserves someone who can. Ridge's breaking point. As months passed, Ridge eventually sought therapy. Haunted by his tendency of loving two people at once, he voiced his fear. What if I'm addicted to the chaos? What if I don't know how to love without breaking something? The therapist challenged him to step away from both women entirely, to live as Ridge, not Ridge with Brooke or Ridge with Taylor. He began sketching again, pouring himself into design, even guiding Zend and RJ more closely. Hope visited him in the studio one evening, saying, "Sometimes not choosing is the bravest choice until you're ready." Their friendship deepened, not sexually, but with remarkable emotional intimacy. The twist, a video leak. Just as the dust began to settle, an Italian paparazzi posted footage. Ridge and Brooke's intimate kiss on the yacht. The video became viral. Taylor witnessed it in Kenya. Steffi raged, Brooke's reputation suffered another hit, and Ridge was publicly disgraced for hiding the kiss while pretending his hands were clean. This revived Steffi's warpath. But it also made Taylor's heart throb less, because the truth was no longer hers alone to carry. Season cliffhanger, Taylor returns, but not alone. The season ended with Taylor arriving back in Los Angeles unexpectedly, stepping into the Forrester mansion with Nick Marone beside her. Ridge's jaw fell. Brooke froze. Steffi exclaimed, "What is he doing here?" And Taylor, with newfound strength, said, "I returned home, not for you, Ridge, but for myself. And I won't be alone this time." Ridge confesses shocking truth to Taylor. Part 3. New alliances, old ghosts, and a war for the future. The bold and the beautiful spoilers confirm that the aftershocks of Ridge's confession didn't simply create a gap. It tore open a vacuum of power, affection, and ambition across Los Angeles. What began as a cancelled wedding became a chain reaction that altered alliances and resurrected ghosts thought buried. Taylor's triumphant return. While all this occurred, Thomas and Hope grew closer. Not romantically yet, but through mutual disillusionment. Hope said, "My mom is finally doing the right thing by stepping back. But part of me wonders if Ridge will ever change." Thomas, observing his parents' drama, murmured, "Maybe some patterns never break." Ridge's final gambit. Unable to stand the image of Taylor with Nick and Brooke slipping away, Ridge made a bold move. He flew to Brooke's home unannounced, carrying the ring meant for Taylor. I made the biggest mistake of my life, trying to fix the past by pretending the future was certain," he added, voice trembling. Brooke stayed silent for a long period before answering. "And now you want to fix that by skipping my heart's consent?" She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She continued, "Show me you've changed, Ridge. Show me you're not just running from the woman you hurt." Cliffhanger, a shocking proposal. The season's cliffhanger burst when Nick, during a press event at Forrester, grasped Taylor's hand and, before a surprised crowd, proposed. "Let's stop being everyone's second choice," he declared. The cameras flashed. Steffi gasped. Ridge dropped the folder he was carrying. And Taylor, eyes wide, whispered, "Nick, this isn't about revenge, is it?" Ridge confesses shocking truth to Taylor. Part 4. Nick's proposal, Ridge's desperation, and Brooke's power shift. The bold and the beautiful spoilers indicate that Nick Marone's surprising, very public proposal to Taylor Hayes at Forrester Creations was not just a moment of spontaneous emotion. It was a masterstroke of timing and symbolism. By picking the identical stage where Ridge had humiliated Taylor months earlier, Nick turned the narrative around. Taylor was no longer the lady left behind. She was now the woman being claimed boldly in front of the same family that previously spurned her. Taylor's torn heart. Taylor remained still, the diamond ring glinting under the flashbulbs, the voices of employees, models, and reporters whirling like a maelstrom. Steffi stepped forward, furious. "Mom, don't let him use your pain." Nick held his ground. "I'm not leveraging her pain. I'm providing her a life where she's never second best." Taylor's eyes flew between them. She had recovered, certainly, but had she healed enough to risk her heart again? She didn't answer. Instead, she mumbled, "Nick, this isn't the place," and exited the stage, leaving everyone in suspense. Ridge's silent breakdown. Ridge, watching from the sidelines, felt the walls draw in. For the first time in years, he was not the center of the triangle, he was the man on the outside. Brooke had stepped back, Taylor was slipping away, and now Nick had remade the battlefield. Ridge returned to Eric's guest house that night and tore apart his sketches in a frenzy. "I've lost them both," he murmured to himself. Eric, overhearing, finally gave him harsh love. "You didn't lose them, Ridge. You pushed them away, one with your lies, the other with your indecision." Brooke's quiet but deadly move. Meanwhile, Brooke Logan was playing a lengthy game no one saw coming. While everyone assumed she was licking her wounds, she was actually restoring her power in Europe Paris, Milan, and Rome were calling for her as an independent consultant. She began building connections outside of Forrester, formulating a plan B. If the Forrester family turned against her again, she would have her own empire. Katie, feeling this shift, inquired, "Are you leaving LA for good?" Brooke replied, "Not leaving, evolving. If Ridge wants a woman to chase him, that's not me anymore." Steffi and Thomas divide. Steffi's warpath against Nick and Brooke began to alienate Thomas, who started to recognize the pattern. They were both living their parents' love life instead of their own. Thomas addressed Steffi. "You're not saving Mom, you're trapping her. Let her breathe." Steffi fired back. "I'm trying to keep this family intact." But the fractures between them developed. Douglas, caught in the crossfire, gently told Hope he wishes his dad would quit fighting over other people's relationships. Nick's secret agenda. Privately, Nick wasn't only acting on love. Documents published later revealed that his shipping company had been negotiating with Taylor's worldwide foundation for months. A marriage to her would ensure exclusive contracts in Africa and Europe. Was his love genuine, or was Taylor once again a player in a larger game? Bill Spencer, ever the shark, scented blood and hired Justin Barber to investigate. Ridge makes a reckless play. Desperate, Ridge resolved to take a risk that may either win Taylor back or ruin him forever. He flew to her Malibu house late one night, uninvited, when she and Nick were quietly enjoying supper. Ridge barged in and yelled, "You can't marry him, Taylor. He's using you." Nick stood, fists clenched. "And you? You loved her so passionately you humiliated her in front of the world."